in the hemispheres, our energies that we're relating to, as though we were those bodies, those energies talking to each other, talking through us. Are we listening? Well, that's the whole issue. And then what do we do? And what is that conversation? The ancients would do this. They really didn't see any mediator, interestingly, as society goes on, you might say, with religions where, yes, couldn't speak directly. But when it came to the planets, from what I understand, at least at some time in history, way back thousands of years, we're talking, it was like, hello, how are you? And what is happening? And then, of course, there were the dreams where people would go to, like the Delphi in Greece, where they would get and be prepared to receive a dream in this consultation. Of course, there's a lot of mythology about that. So this will be great fun. And today we have a panel of 4. Yes. And from Cosmic Collaboration is Suzie Kerr Wright. And Suzie, yes, if you identify yourself a little and then we'll continue.
Hi, she said I'm Suzie Kerr Wright. I'm an astrologer, a psychic medium, and I've been studying astrology since the 70s. And I love it. It's my life. It's my passion. It's my work.
Great. And Suzie is from Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. I got that backwards. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Meanwhile, I'm speaking from Hawaii on the Big Island. So we're crossing already a lot of space here. And then we have Tara All. Yes, from Los Angeles. I will highlight first. Yes, go ahead, Tara.
Hi, well, I'm Tara All, and I'm a evolutionary astrologer currently in Los Angeles, just like you said, Sue. And I'm really passionate about experiential astrology. So currently I'm into something called We Are the Planets and a technique called Planets on the First, or Living Planets First. And I'm also co-author of a book that is now out for pre-order called Astrology by Moonlight, and also co-author of a book called Natural Astrology, and I do lots of other stuff. And you can find more about me and this stuff at taraall.com.
That is so super. And I've neglected to say, I think that Tara is one of our members of Planet Buzz. And that also reminds me, and perhaps I said, but it's always good repeating, that there are several astrologers here who have written books. And you will hear later Marie O'Neill, who was on a few weeks ago, but Tara's, which reminds me, we'd like to publicize that. So we will make up a little spot and add it when we do Planet Buzz, which will be coming up. So check Talk Cosmos and .com, and you can find out and subscribe. That way you'll cue into when these events with the panels are happening. And Dr. Laura Todd, she's also on Planet Buzz. Hi, Laura. And
hi, it's good to be here today. And yeah, I live about 40 minutes south of Atlanta, Georgia, but native Southerner from Massachusetts myself, like Suzie, originally. And so I work as a psychological astrologer, and it's also really sort of steeped in spirituality, not quite evolutionary astrology, but sort of my own hybrid that I tend to cherry pick with my Mercury and Gemini. So I work as a counseling astrologer, and I write and I teach and collaborate with all kinds of friends and colleagues around astrology.
Yes, and there are lectures too that you can find from these wonderful astrologers. So today is going to be a new venture, as I said, and briefly we will present ourselves as the planet we're talking, and I'll just briefly identify what planets or configurations are strong in the chart. And we may break away at a moment to reflect on, like, well, what was this and what was that, and et cetera about. But in this chart on May 2nd, 2021, and here it is, 1 o'clock on Pacific time, 4 o'clock on Eastern time, and of course we have Mountain and Central in between. Suzie, as a fact, is from Central, so that would be 3 o'clock. And if you're on Mountain, that would be 2 o'clock. Hawaii, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, but regardless, these energies are occurring where the sun is 12 degrees right close to the middle of Taurus, and next to the sun is the Awakener Uranus. Now, the sun is our whole umbrella, our identity that we're feathering through, you might say, these Taurian survival resources, values. Again, we have the moon, the other luminary that reflects the light from the sun, at the very beginning of Uranus. It's ruled by Aquarius, pardon me, ruled by Uranus, thank you, yes. And in some traditional ways, Saturn. But it's next to Pluto, the transformer, the one that says, hey, baby, are you getting power or not? Like, throw off those dead skins of the snake, get on a new life. So that is in Capricorn of tradition, conditioning, heavy stuff really that we're all transforming through. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, one other factor we could say is that Neptune, which is in its 13-14 year transit in Pisces, and now in the third decan, as we could say, 22 degrees. It only moves a few degrees a year. It has a long orbit, I think of 168 years. So this is no small potatoes. Thank you for my vernacular. I don't know if that translates in every language, but it is sextile. That's a connecting 60-degree angle to Mercury. Well, what does it say? But some poetry maybe as the thinking factor. Those are basically, okay. And the other thing is that Mars is in Cancer, the protection of Cancer on our emotional basis. And the last is just to remind people that what about Venus? What's Venus doing? Well, Venus is right in, we could say, within orb of our thinking. So our values and our thinking, Mercury. But last but not least, the nodes. They are still through this year, ending up there after a year of being in the North Node. But we're all moving towards in Gemini of communication, and the South Node of our belief systems, our cultural biases. It's all about learning. Okay, so with that potpourri of content, we will start off as identifying ourselves as a planet and what we're feeling. And then we'll just keep that conversation moving until we stop. Okay, we're on. I feel I'm the moon in Aquarius, and I just have to wish I could shake off some of these old clamps so I could get moving. It's just kind of sticky. I feel like, where's the new, how do I grow out of what's been into what's new?
I'm Jupiter in Aquarius, and I don't even see why we're talking about the past. We should just be focusing on where we want to move towards. There's so much conversation about what we don't want and what's not working and these old things, and I'm really ready to move on. I can see a bigger picture. I have more vision, and I'm ready to go and do it. And I don't even mind if we have to just cut some stuff loose to get on with it. And I'm guessing that probably all you planets in Taurus have something to say about that, but I'm ready to move on.
Well, I'm Mercury in Taurus, and I'm going slow, and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking again, and I'm thinking I got 3 buddies on my side right now.
I'm bigger, Suzie.
Venus, I got Sun, and I got Uranus, all in my world right now. And I'm thinking if we do this right, play our cards right, we can bust through and make some big changes, but we got to do it right. And we got to do it right.
So I'm Venus and Taurus, and it's not just about doing it right. It's the ethics of it. It's right, not just correct in terms of checking boxes, but why are we doing it? Why it has to have purpose. We can't just change to change. I like that, Mercury, that you're going to be methodical and think it through, because it's got to have purpose behind it.
Oh, you know what? I'm Neptune in Pisces, and I've been kind of trying to just drain and dissolve all kinds of things. But I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm thinking, but I am thinking in some ways, but it's more poetic. Maybe some of these changes could be in analogies or songs. Like maybe we need to kind of stop the word situation and say, dream when you're feeling blue, da 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 da. I don't know. I mean, something or other. It's just like, I don't understand where all of this has to be so linear. It's like thinking and feeling. And I mean, there's like a big ocean out there of thought. I don't know.
I'm thinking it sounds like we have all the ingredients. But what's the first step?
I am Pluto in Capricorn, and I'm saying, change, baby, change, because your old emotions, they're just the same old story. And if you don't get the new program going, it's like, let's look at what the picture is.
Does that mean old conditioning? I mean, can we change old conditioning?
I think this means that Sun and Venus and Mercury and Taurus are all taking a moment.
Okay, we will step out of character. We'll step out of character because this was stupendous, I think. And it is really true that these are, I mean, especially coming up with Jupiter saying, because Jupiter is in that combat zone, you might say. I mean, on a friendly basis, maybe not so. Trying to figure it out with Saturn. Is it? No,
well, to me,
it's not.
But to me, but Jupiter in Aquarius is in quincunx or in inconjunct to Mercury and Venus that are in Aquarius. I mean, that are in Taurus, right? So that is like, yeah, a serious adjustment has to be made for those two to work together.
So maybe it's really the matter of the moon, our processing, to realize, hey, this is a story that's going to take time. This isn't instant gratification or anything. It's just like, as far as us, the people experiencing all this, I'm thinking, because they are conjunct, moon. And I mean, moon's at the very beginning of Aquarius, which relates back to me always to December, when that big change of cultural change, social change, when you get Jupiter and Saturn together. But this ignited 200 years of air communication exactly at 0 degrees, the same point. That's my thought of the moon. But it's just not so instant, is it? The moon wants time. So like you say, all these thoughts and stuff that are in Taurus right now are like, don't have any words for this anyway.
Well, the moon moves so fast anyway, like it's moody, right? So literally, like we're hanging out in Aquarius now, and then we're going to jump into Pisces. So like, but to me, like the moon part of us just wants to be comfortable no matter what sign it's in, right? It wants to feel like things are going to be okay. Just the measure of whether things are going to be okay changes. So how I feel if I'm moon and Aquarius energy, me being okay has a lot to do with me having freedom, right? Me being able to do what I want to do to move forward with my new ideas. But I feel like with it just coming from Capricorn and with it being there still conjunct Pluto, that's tough, right? It can almost just feel like, there's something you want to do, but it is hard to move. So you opened up with that. So it's sort of like, do I have what it takes to break free and do something else? All those planets in Taurus are like, hold on, because we don't know. We're not just making the leap off of it. And then, we have Jupiter that it's like, come on, like what's holding up the show? And I think sometimes what happens when all these energies happen at once is we either tend to do something radical that isn't really the best choice, or we don't do anything at all when we know that there's something to do. So that's kind of when I felt like us get to the quiet point. That's how I felt with all the energies. Like, okay, like literally, what do we do?
What I
Yeah,
appreciate. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
Laura.
so I think that's part of the moon having just transitioned into Aquarius is that a couple of hours ago when it's conjunct Pluto, everybody's feeling emotional upheaval with that conjunction, and then it ingresses into Aquarius, and then it's Aquarius is so much about authenticity. So it's like, okay, how do I really feel now that I've flipped out at my partner this morning because they woke me up, and how do I actually feel, and checking in with that authenticity and what's really important to me with all of that stuff in Taurus, and what do I really want now that I can find some more homeostasis, even if it's Aquarius, which is sort of a weird version of homeostasis.
Yeah. I love this. Now, Suzie, you may have something to say, but maybe let's jump back in, because what came to me hearing this, which I love, is that, yes, in this conversation, the moon did speak first. Well, the moon is our emotion. And as you pointed out, Laura, a perfect reason, because it's just in a brand new sign. It's a baby, right? 0 degrees. As Anne Orderly would say, it's the first degree. It's like, doesn't know what to say. So it's kind of going, wah, wah, wah. But looking at this in the Christ, I'm going to change. I'm going to start off anew, still from the moon. But what I'm getting at thinking is that as we flip in and flip out of this conversation and dialogue, just as the grown-ups, you might say, the gurus talking to the planets, experience, is that some other planet could be the first talk. But I'm thinking of this. I'm going to say, I just feel like there's a crisis. I just feel like if I could, I don't know how long to hold off working on what I need to do in order to make the changes I can see that are happening. I wish I could get some guidance on this. And I'm the moon in next to, I'm speaking from the moon, I forgot to say. In Aquarius.
I'm the sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and I have my own version of the same thing. I know I need to do something different. I know I can't just keep doing the same old patterns, the same old routines. I can't keep, I need to set myself free to what I want to do. But at the same time, I'm scared. Like, I'm afraid of what that means, of what that uproots, of what that unsettles. And so as much as I had that, I don't know, just like that wild drive to just break free and do me, at the same time, I'm just not sure what that would mean to the rest of my life and to actually anybody around me.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. I mean, the sun and the moon, we both represent a huge part of our basic identity. The sun is like the umbrella of everything. You've got a lot to handle and you're in charge, gotta say. And me, on the other hand, I'm speaking from the moon standpoint. That's that network of how we feel and our processing and private zone. I wonder what Uranus has to say about all of this, because Uranus is right next to you. And besides that, that's my ruling planet. Hello, Uranus.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. The whole part of me that says I need to change, I need to be me, I need to let myself shine. That is that part. Here's the part, and I'm still the sun Uranus combined, but us combined with you, the moon and Pluto, that's requiring change from the inside out on all levels. Personally, we're getting it from all sides. Everything's shaking up. Everything is having to be turned and mined and switched around and thrown around, right? So, I mean, at the same time, I'm talking to all my friends over there in Taurus, the rest of them, Venus and Mercury, we need help. We need help to keep ourselves grounded enough that we can actually do something different, because we know we have to do something different. It's just sometimes we feel like we're so stuck. And I know, speaking as the sun in Taurus, I know that sometimes it takes so much tension to break me out of my rut. But with Uranus on me, I don't feel like I'm having much of a chance, because it's I'm shaking in my sleep.
Well, I'm Mars in Cancer. And, moon, just slow down a little bit and go inward and feel, because in a couple days, I'll be able to help you out more.
Oh,
right? As you get a little further into Aquarius, we'll be able to engage more directly, and I can help you out to be more proactive. So just go inward for now. And then, later today, tomorrow, I can help you.
I'm speaking from the moon standpoint, returning. I really appreciate this reminding guidance that there are phases. I don't have to get so personally involved with my own little immediate world that I'm like in a crisis of how to jump, but to get grounded and to realize that there's going to be a new phase. So experience maybe the brainstorm of what I might like to visualize. I don't know. At any rate, thank you. Parts of myself.
Yeah. I mean, I know I have to let go, right? With that Sun Uranus, I know I have to let go. I know there's not actually a choice to let go. It's just, I mean it when I say it's scary. It's scary. Threatens everything I know about how I've built in my whole life.
I wonder what Uranus has to say away from the sun. I'd like to hear Uranus speak.
It's very quiet. I can't hear it.
I know. I wonder if Uranus is being, sometimes like I'm as the moon in right now in Aquarius, I think sort of ESP, right? I mean, it's very intuitive. Like, why don't you get it? What's happening? But, when I think about it, or I feel about it, maybe Uranus in Taurus is like, can't you listen to your body? Is that what it's saying? Or maybe it's saying, hey, get the signs in some pre-verbal way. I mean, Taurus is pre-verbal.
Well, maybe, I wonder if it's even saying too, because it's that as above, so below, right? This is the combination right here. And, is it saying, I'm giving you as much as I can to ground you through this? If you're not getting it, you're just going to get dragged. And also, being Mercury and Taurus, again, if we're going to go ahead, to the end of the week, it's like, now I'm thinking, as Mercury and Taurus, it's like, okay, let's really figure this out. And but, in the next few days, maybe I can get some friends together. Maybe I can find a support group. Maybe I can find a way to connect with some people to help me take the steps that I need to take too, that making those connections where it goes into Gemini.
Yeah, Susie, I was just going to say directly to you as Mercury and Gemini, like you, I mean, you're moving to Gemini tomorrow. Like
that's right.
Yeah. We might have a new idea then. Maybe we don't have to stress out as much today. Maybe that new idea, and speaking from Uranus, it's not that personal. I mean, I think here I'm Uranus and Taurus, and I'm just saying it's actually not that personal. Change just needs to happen. It's the best thing that can come right now. So, we've talked about this before on this show, I'm pretty sure, but like there is no dark night of the soul. There's only a dark night of the ego, right? From the soul's perspective, we just need to grow and shift and evolve, right? And so I see Uranus as that part of us is like tune into that higher frequency or that higher self, not to negate the personal self, it's here, but to not take it so personally, to see it in a more like in esoteric astrology, we talk about making the impersonal more personal and the personal less personal. And that's how I feel about this energy. It's like, okay, what's actually needed from that greater perspective?
Yeah, and less attachment, perhaps, because it is that freedom. Go ahead. Go ahead, Susie.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I just got excited because you said what I was thinking.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
Mercury and Taurus, I can relate to you. Just you.
Well, and that's the moon in Aquarius, not emotional presence, but not attachment.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There are gifts.
That non-attachment doesn't have to mean non-engagement.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's because especially with the moon, we get so that's the process. It's a habitual, it's something. And then when we're talking about Taurus, it's so familiar. It's our a comfort zone, and it takes time to build that. I know I've just recently, well, it feels recent, moved to Hawaii. And even though I knew this property, we've had it, it was not living on a daily basis. And just now my husband and I are saying, hey, we're feeling more comfortable. And I'm trying to think like, well, what makes that, which is kind of scary because then it's like, oh dear, you don't want to get in a rut either. But there is that basis of Taurus that wants to feel secure, grounded, stable. And so really to have all this energy right now in this archetypal time of Taurus, yeah, it's like we don't want to not throw the baby out with the water.
Yeah, and at the same time, Uranus is trying to point out just because you feel like it's solid and stable and it's your safety doesn't mean it is. Like it's like in some ways Uranus is trying to blow holes in what's I always talk about, like if your front porch step is rotten, eventually, you step through it and you realize it's rotten. Like part of what Uranus tries to let you know what's not stable, what's not a steady foundation. And so it feels like it's blowing things up or that we're blowing things up sometimes in that process, but it's to let you know, especially from the Taurian perspective, whoa, what you thought was holding you up is actually going to fall apart. So it's so great to pick up on that before the whole porch falls down.
And then it's this opportunity to invent a new kind of stability, right? As Uranus is conjunct my South Node at the moment, so it's very personal. But it is this, okay, reinvent. What you thought was stable doesn't mean there isn't still stability.
Yep.
And that shifting of consciousness in that way, of pivoting into a different kind of stability or a different, you find a part of the step that is solid.
Yes. And Jupiter and Aquarius here is like, let me help you see the vision. Let me help you see where this can go. Let me help you see more so that you're not so limited, and like that, the Taurian tends to like be like in a well, right? And only see that one little strip that comes up out of the well into the light. It's a bigger vision. But you're absolutely right, Laura. You don't have to it's funny. We have an artificial belief or a story that stability means a certain thing, right? And so part of what's happening right now, I think, is a reminder that that's just an old story. Yeah. It's just an old story. Doesn't mean it really is.
Well, and the other thing that just really hit me is how, all of these people, these planets together, when this esoteric astrology, I don't even know what branch of this was, but I remember reading somewhere, of course, each of the planets just in existence in this plane has something they're bringing to the table. And for Taurus, this fear of change that we pin on Taurus because they're there to hold the space for, they're here to hold the space for stability through change, right? We were talking earlier about going through the chaos. And so, of course, they're going to see, to them, it's going to be perceived as they're seeing change all the time. And, and uncomfortable with it, but they're there to hold the space for that, for people to, that the energy of that sign. I'm not explaining this very well.
Sorry. No, it's excellent. And I think all tied together, we will, because we're holding space, we're going to come back to this process of our chart right after this
showing up
break. Yeah. And thank you.
So looking at it differently is brilliant. Exactly. Yeah.
This is Astro Cinema with these talking planets with Dr. Laura Tad, Tara All, Suzie, Kerr, Wright, and myself, Sue Rose Minahan. May 2nd. We'll be right back. Thank you. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We're currently in the period of Taurus. By leaving a cycle based upon initiation, the energy of Taurus integrates spirit into a solid form of matter that is tangible and physical. It's an earth sign, concerned with self-sufficiency and the values to maintain the strength of a life form throughout its survival.
Whether we know it or not, each of us are on a quest to discover our true self. and the road we travel to accomplish this goal is unique for each of us. This is Marie O'Neill's hero's journey of walking her path and overcoming hardship and heartache in her book, And the Lotus Opened. As a memoir of enduring an absent mother and a harsh pseudo-family, and surviving ongoing abuse and trauma, Marie learns to trust in the divine and in her inner self, and release herself from the emotional chains that bound her. She discovers her personal power and who she is, and she learns what being free really means. Now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com in either hardcover, paperback, or ebook, you can order Marie O'Neill's book, And the Lotus Opened, and let Marie be your guide as she leads you on your path to authentic freedom using metaphysics, astrology, Buddhism, and healing practices.
Hey there, this is Shannon Hayes from Seattle, Washington. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, and you're listening to Talk Cosmos on Alternative Talk 1150 AM, where we unveil astrology's ancient archetypes that continually build the collective experiences in our unconsciousness.
Exploring new territory every day. This is Alternative Talk 1150.
Hi, I am so glad to get back with everybody. And just to update our audience, in case you tuned in, May 2nd, 2021, and I'm with 3 astrologers from 2 of our panels, Dr. Laura Tad and Tara All from Planet Buzz, that happens monthly, and Suzie Kerr Wright, that's part of Cosmic Collaboration. And we are starting a venture that is been done somewhat, but a little new for this format, where the planets are talking as we're talking, as though we're the planets, and having a dialogue of today's chart. And then we'll break away at times and say, what was that all about anyway? You know, but it's bringing to life those energies within us. And so on that basis, oh, and I wanted to say also, I was so recognizing that, Tara, you've written a book, and I intend to have you do a little spot. So on Planet Buzz, that brings up, but just name the name of your book that you just published like a month ago.
It's Astrology by Moonlight, and it's the publisher is Llewellyn. It's out for pre-order everywhere books are sold, but it will not be released until December, but it is out for pre-order.
Oh, okay. Very good. Mm-hmm. So I thought that's wonderful. So we will begin again. And as I had said, there's certain Pluto, the moon in its quick orbit is conjunct Pluto. It just entered Aquarius. It's going to its last quarter square to the sun. Because we're not doing houses. This is just the planets. They're talking. The sun in the middle, close to the middle at 12 degrees Taurus, has just passed Uranus in its slower orbit of Taurus, but listening very well to the awakener. And Venus is in Taurus. We have a stellium in Taurus along with Mercury. And Venus and Mercury are within orb, and that's maybe a good thing here. We don't know, but it's our values and our mental communication. So how well are we listening? Taurus is also the senses, so that's an important factor. And Neptune continues its glorious journey for 13 years, ending still in Pisces, but it is sextile to Mercury. So maybe we'll go from that angle. I'll start off. And I'm going to say, and we're identifying what planet, and we're going to change the planets around as we want to talk. So if I'm Mercury right now, I could be somebody else later. And so could Suzie, Tara, and Laura. All right. Because we realize also, I might say that some of you are on YouTube. Do subscribe. It's Talk Cosmos YouTube channel. And of course, the podcast is on any of the podcasts. And you can find any of these astrologers through their websites that I have on talkcosmos.com. So if you want any consultations or just find out more about their lectures, they have many opportunities that are conveyed. I am thinking as has Mercury in Taurus, which isn't always easy to verbalize my thoughts. I mean, I know I'm ruling the North Node in Gemini, so that's where I'm supposed to be going. But at the moment, I can't quite see where that's headed. And as I sit here in my physicality of Taurus, material world of Earth, but I'm thinking more that maybe it isn't all on the Earth anyway. Maybe it's that plane of spirituality. In other words, maybe really I need to see more of the signs and recognize that intuitive sense that people call in so many languages, because our social society structure doesn't seem to be really based in how we can read the signs. But I'm beginning to realize more if I listen to a song, hey, maybe that was a message that I'm getting that really inspires me. I'm feeling that could be, I don't know, feeling I'm in Taurus.
I'm Venus in Taurus and Mercury. I'm amazed that no matter what sign you're in, you have a lot to say. It just doesn't even seem to matter what sign you're in. Because right now, I don't really I just want to chill out and relax. I want to find the graceful, peaceful way to do it. Even if we have to do a bunch of change, I don't want it to be messy and I don't want it to be ugly.
Hey, guys, I'm Mars in Cancer over here.
Watch out.
Listen up, buddies. I had something come to me. I got to lay this on you. Now listen close, but don't tell anybody. It's I figured out that what I can do in Cancer, because I'm kind of new in Cancer here. I'm still getting my feet here. It's not real comfortable for me. But one of the things that I get to do is I get to remember. And I'll tell you this, whatever you let go of, I'm not going to let you forget. We're going to take it with us. We're going to pack it up. We're going to put it in the bag. And it may be a little more, it may be more intellectual, maybe more an emotional thing, less stuff, because even though I Cancer, I know likes their stuff around, but I got places to be, so I don't have a lot of room for things. But, although I do like to hang on to some, I don't know, whatever, we'll figure it out. But here's the deal. You can still go through the next steps and take the steps, because I'm going to make sure that number one, you're safe. And number two, you're going to remember where you came from. Mm-hmm. So come on if you want. Mm.
And Jupiter in Aquarius is back to, what are we waiting for again? The door is open, please. Come on through. How much more convincing do we need? We need some Sagittarius in this chart. Oh, wait, that's the South Node. We're not supposed to be focusing on that.
Well, I am Saturn in Aquarius, and I'm thinking, that's probably this deconditioning that I am in Aquarius. I mean, that's really like going to the new. I mean, I like structure. I need some kind of reference and a framework. But hey, I remember, speaking of memory, Picasso, I mean, he was a prolific person. He had thousands and thousands of paintings. He knew how to paint the body perfect. He was a trained artist. I remember that because I remember going to the museum and seeing his work and studying, but he became so liberated because he knew the structure, he could change it. So he always knew what he was going from. And, I'm thinking too with Taurus, which is the physical and, in energy, it's sort of a challenge to my progressive way, but we all like the fixed stuff, So this is a thought to realize how I can keep the memory and use it as a blueprint in a way. What was the good stuff? What is just the stuff I don't want to keep? It's interesting. Glad
sorry, go ahead. Do you want to go?
No, I was just going to say, I'm back to Venus and Taurus again. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you pick something worth it for me, I'll help you grow it. I can grow it like nobody's business. I can attract resources. I can just like a garden will bloom. So you just got to sell me on it. If you really sell me on it, I can make it happen.
Cool. I was just going to go back and be Saturn and Aquarius from a little different perspective. This is the other side of what I'm thinking, Sue, as Saturn and Aquarius. You know, I kind of need a break after destroying everything for so many years with my buddy, you know, Pluto. We were busy. We flipped a lot of houses, and I'm tired.
That's right. You're in Capricorn. Yes, just left Capricorn. That's right.
Yeah, we've been taking some pretty rough places and flipping them, and I think I might want to go into something a little less physical, maybe a little less, something, maybe even just, stay in construction, but kind of move into a different kind of construction. maybe spend some time building one big structure that's going to last for a while and it's going to bring people together, in a fun way, maybe some casinos or some music venues. I just want to do something different. So I'm kind of open, but I'm not quite sure what it is I want to build yet.
Well, as Mars in Cancer, what about like sustainable homes? Saturn.
You just gotta make them pretty. Just Venus and Taurus back. People gotta want to be in them.
I'm Mercury again, and I'm in Taurus, and I'm connecting to whatever I can here, which is limited. But it's on the ground level. And I just remembered that I saw a Dutch printed home, and it was really fast, and it was printed. It could be done in days, and it's not very expensive. It's sort of a downside maybe because there won't be a lot of people working on it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll be working on their machines trying to figure it out. I just don't know how that. Yeah, but I don't know how Mars in Cancer is going to feel about maybe losing all those job security activity things, but on the other hand, wow, we have new little houses, and where would we put them? Maybe on a little float out on the water.
Mars in Cancer will be fine as long as its own family, its own people are taken care of. It doesn't. The rest can just they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Thinking about the grandkids, Mars and Cancer, kids, the grandkids, the great grandkids. How's this going to last? That's good. Sustainable homes. I love that.
Well, and Venus in Cancer wants it to honor the Earth, right?
Venus and Taurus,
Venus and Taurus,
Taurus, yeah. Mm-hmm. So this new way, the sustainable, how is that connecting with Mother Earth, right? Venus and Taurus is really, so even Mercury, maybe some of the signs that you need, talk to the animals.
Ooh, I like that. Oh, wouldn't that be nice if maybe my house had a little like an arch that the animals could go through, right? It was just like they have that for roads where the animals can cross it and everything. I could be like surrounded with around a tree, for instance. They could make a little, like if I love a tree, I could put the tree right in the middle of my house, and I could make an imprint house around this tree. And because it doesn't have to be square, this was round. It looked like a boulder, just to prove that it could be anything. Which reminds me, go ahead.
Because it reminds me of when I was a kid. Mars and Cancer.
Yeah. Well, I want to add to what Laura was saying, because for the signs, like looking to animals, not just honoring them, but literally looking to animal medicine. Look at what shows up, in your day, and like in the crystal kingdom, right? Like, if you work with stones and minerals and all those things have messages, and lots of stones, as many of us believe, were actually founded in here literally to help our own evolution. So I love that, Laura. That's such a good point with your Venus and Taurus of like, the wisdom's all right here. Why are you not listening? Like it's literally here on this planet with us. It's funny. We so often tend to okay, so now I'll be Neptune in Pisces. Well, but it's out there somewhere in the ether or whatever, right? But I'm saying the Taurus is like, it's also equally right here. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Tara. And just for our audience, now we're like digesting, as the guru, whatever, we're thinking of this internal basis. We're not being it, we're looking at it.
Yeah, I want to clarify that we're not gurus. That's not what we're saying here.
Oh, well, you know what?
We're not the planets at the moment.
I just read, and I apologize for that because I read, it's another thing of, delete that, delete. Yes, thank you very much. But back to Neptune. Neptune really is nature. Neptune is that all inclusive, so that it is the greater forces. It's all of it. So I'm really glad that because there is this sextile between at this moment with Mercury and Taurus that Laura, as you brought up.
Venus is the one.
Venus is even tighter.
Venus is the exact sextile.
Yeah, oh yes, thank you. It's Venus. Oh, I was thinking it was Mercury. I had that wrong. Okay, very good.
I think that all intelligence can come into the body more easily right now.
Yeah.
That's an open channel for all intelligence to come,
and
come into the 3D space. Yeah.
And that brings in exactly what I started off with this conversation. But again, it was a little bit of error, maybe thinking of it from Mercury, but thinking of how do we get communication and as you said, yes, it's there. The animals, the signs, like I saw an egret here. It's a white bird that's like a crane, but it's not real huge, but it's long and slender, very lovely. And it was just walking on this gravel path that goes from the street down to the ocean, because in Hawaii, the ocean is available to anybody. And it was just walking on this really looked very dismal spot. Like if I was a bird, I wouldn't be just walking on a gravel staring at a wall that was right there. But it is symbolic, and it is a bird of change. And I noticed next that the bird was and it was walking. It was like, why aren't you flying? Well, it's a grounded bird, reminding me to be grounded. Thank you. And in the next moment, it jumped on the other side of the wall, and then it jumped. So it was like, oh, it can change. Didn't like that. It did something different. Got over that wall, because it could be like an obstacle, right? And then it went on top of a hedge. That's a jasmine hedge, green with a few flowers here and there, and it's poking around looking at it. But I thought, that's a lot more interesting. And jasmines represent love. So I thought, wow, speak of like a totem animal, and that's exactly what we're talking about here, is exploring that concept.
Yeah, and with plants too. I was just planting herbs this morning or earlier today, and it's like, as I'm getting them out of the pots that I got them in from the plant store and putting them, in new soil, it's like, talking to the plants as you're doing that, engaging with them as you're just the natural world. I think that's part of this stellium that we have in Taurus, is our connection with the natural world. And we're not talking about the asteroids, but, Ceres and Lilith are in Taurus too. So we've got this huge stack of stuff going on there. And so, or now Ceres, she's just about to be, Ceres is in Aries. But just this lineup of Taurus. So connecting with the earth, connecting with the natural world, with the animals, with the plants. And at the same time that we've got this Aquarian moon that's just come in. And so this mixture of in our heads, in the sort of ether, and being grounded.
And Laura, I think...
go on. Oh, I was just going to quickly say, with that stellium, the awakener of Uranus next to the sun. Go ahead, Tara.
No, I was going to say similar. I was going to say, even when that stellium moves on, Uranus is still going to be in Taurus, right? And that's still like not just liberation, but it's also a whole new relationship with the body, with the earth, with everything we consider to be physicality. So in some ways, this is maybe just giving us a big super dose of the energy, but we're going to keep working with it for a long time. And I mean, I think you guys probably agree with me. If we don't start paying attention to like that type of intelligence, we're going to have a really rough road ahead of us. So there's huge opportunity for what we can do if we're willing to listen and pay attention and to work with those, I guess, even resources in a different way. Yeah. And to partner with them, right? Which is, and so I think like with Venus being involved right now, right too, you talked about Laura Venus being with all the Mother Earth stuff, but it's not just honoring, it's partnering with it, right? Venus is like signifies partnership. It's working with it as an equal, not something we use, not something that's ours to do what we want with, but something that we literally say, we're in this together. So I feel like that's a huge piece too.
And I see that playing out. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Suzie.
No, I was just gonna say, I see this playing out as a medium, in the work I do. It's, the mediumship is, the sessions that I do have evolved beyond just, okay, here's me bringing your loved ones in, through the people want to understand their own connections more. Mm-hmm. And so, when I do readings now, it's like there's a huge chunk of that is, helping people understand how they're connecting, again, as above, so below. And it's like, and it's funny because you wouldn't think of earth energy as being really, so much in play in something like that, but it really is, because you're bringing that down into a more practical or a more grounded energy. So people are really understand. They want to know how to make their own connections, and it's really cool.
And energy that's not anchored, you can't harness it. Like so if that's what we're wanting, like we need all these pieces.
We only have a couple of minutes. I want to complete and say that this ties in so beautifully. Next week will be Cosmic Collaboration. Suzie will be on that. And then following that week, I think, is Planet Buzz. It all in Taurus as we complete. And next week, we're talking about series that goes into Taurus. And that's that grief, that primal scream of series, and also the reclaiming of it. It's going to be interesting. And it won't be purely of that energy, but this is such a segue into that sense of our resources, our body, our values, everything that Taurus represents, and looking in a larger prism of this, like you had brought up about Uranus, this energy that's in Taurus for these 7 years, another 5 years to complete. And tonight, this is May 2nd, and I'm with panelists that are part of Talk Cosmos on different members. And we have Tara All and Dr. Laura Tad with Planet Buzz, and then we have Suzie Kerr Wright that is with Cosmic Collaboration. And we have been exploring these planets today. It's just so exciting. And I love the fact that we're venturing into a new realm, aren't we? We're
change.
Well, thank you. It's a blessing. We have you can say a couple of words as we sign off. Yes.
No, just as Suzie was saying, we should have just cued David Bowie for changes, and that would have just let us right in.
Thank you all. This was fun. I really enjoyed this. Thanks for
and we did get something from Wendy De La Via from
Wendy, big love.
Hi, Tara. Mars and Cancer here.
And she's planting. Yeah, Wendy. So thank you
for being
to our
here. Wonderful audience.
Thank you for joining us on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests connect soul growth patterns with the energetic cycles of astrology. Be sure to tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.